started. Yes. Hi, and welcome back to It's Not Rocket Science, 5 Questions Over Coffee. I've had some technical difficulties today, although, to be honest with you, it's probably not the coffee that's causing it. I'm delighted, however, to be here with Helle Brodie. Helle is a business success coach, and she really specializes in working with entrepreneurs to create freedom in their business and their life, which I think sounds absolutely fantastic. She's been an entrepreneur herself for 37 years in 2 vastly different industries, and I'm sure we're going to get into that. And she's really got an intimate understanding of the complexity and, I believe, the simplicity of business. So she's going to help us to understand exactly how we can transform our businesses from a state of chaos to a vehicle for freedom. That's time freedom and financial freedom and the internal freedom to savor the life. So Helle, welcome to the podcast. I really am looking forward to this, and I'm looking forward to having a conversation about how you're going to help us to transform these complex beasts into something simple we can all enjoy.
Absolutely. It's wonderful to be here, Stuart.
Terrific. So Helle, let's start with the first question I always start with, and that's just try and describe to us, if you can, the person you're trying to help. I mean, you mentioned there are things like the freedom, and I think we all can all identify the fact that sometimes as a business we don't feel as if it's a freeing thing. So tell us about the sort of person you're trying to reach to help with these problems.
Right. So 50% of entrepreneurs admit to struggling with burnout. You know, it's the stress, the overwhelm, the sleepless nights, you know, and the pressure can feel exhausting and all consuming. And, you know, it creeps into your friendships. It creeps into your family life, and it even creeps into that gym membership that you promised that you'd start using next week. So as entrepreneurs, we know that we need to master our business. We know we need to be at the top of our game. And yet we've created a state of chaos in our business. And after a while, it starts to wear on our self-belief, you know, and we quietly start to doubt whether we can really do this, whether we're really cut out for this. Mm-hmm. Right. And so, you know, when that self-doubt creeps in, we start to lose our confidence. We start to lose our clarity, our energy, our drive, and our creativity. And so I'm here to help people get all of that back. Terrific.
I'm sure that you find there are people who've tried to do things to help themselves in these situations. I know I come across people. I'm a big fan, like yourself, of sort of trying to help people to find ways in which to make their business something which runs on autopilot. And I know they've tried 100 different things. They've tried the courses, they've tried the books, they've tried 1,001 things. What are you seeing that people have tried before they sort of find somebody like you to help them to produce that sort of unblocking in their business?
That's a great question, Stuart. So typically what I find is that they go back to what feels safe. You know, they've looked at the courses, they've looked at read books, they've, you know, gathered all kinds of knowledge. And so they go back to what feels safe, because quite often they're feeling like they're sort of on the edge, right? Mm-hmm. And so, you know, what feels safe? Well, working longer and harder feels safe.
Yeah.
You know, chasing every opportunity out there feels safe, because this is what's got them to where they are now.
Yeah.
The challenge is that what's got them to where they are now isn't necessarily what's going to take them to the next level.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, I think you've got a really valuable free offer that you are going to give to them, and I'm just going to let everybody know know that we're going to put this in our vault, so you don't have to remember this. This will be in the vault, so you'll see it. But Helle's got a really valuable offer to help people with this. So Helle, can you tell us about the really interesting offer that you've got that you're going to help with today?
Yeah, it's called the Entrepreneur's Freedom Formula.
Wonderful.
And what it is, it outlines 10 areas of your business that I can say you could look at. It would be advisable to look at to create freedom in your business, time freedom, financial freedom, and the internal freedom to really savor your life. Because we know that working longer and harder and chasing absolutely every opportunity isn't necessarily what works, And one of the things that I can't give you the 10 steps to is one of the keys is really aligning your conscious and your unconscious mind. Now, I can't offer that as a free resource because it's a very difficult thing to do on your own, right? And that's one of the keys to how I'm able to help people really get to the next level in their business, create that freedom, and move forward, live the life of their dreams.
So the 10 steps that you're giving here, this is the outline that people can start to understand, but really that's not the end of the journey, is it? What we're talking about here is something which you've got to partly self-discover, but also it's something that you've got to sort of understand exactly how to apply these things. And I often think that that's one of the failures that we have as entrepreneurs. We see a formula, we see a set of steps, and we go, well, I'll just implement those as they are, and they'll just work. And that's not the whole story, is it?
Right. Because I mean so when I talk about the unconscious blocks that are holding you back from your progress, I mean, so we've all heard about mindset. You have to have a success mindset and a growth mindset, and that's all very true. This goes one level deeper than that, because in our conscious mind, we set our goals. Our unconscious mind is the part of our mind that actually helps us achieve our goals. Mm-hmm. And until we have those two things aligned, it's going to be really hard to achieve your goals and do everything that you want to do without working longer and harder and pushing and struggling. So it creates ease and flow in your business. Now, you still have to have a work ethic, because growth and change don't happen on their own. I mean, I'm sure you've heard a lot of people talk about, oh, it's just so easy. You just think it and think positive thoughts and all the good things in the world will come to you. Well, that doesn't necessarily happen. And when I'm trying to be kind. So when we align our unconscious minds, then it becomes a lot easier, because we're not self-sabotaging ourselves. We're not keeping ourselves from achieving the goals that we really want. I mean, this is what we really want. So
yeah, I absolutely know what you mean, and I think it's something we too often we sort of look around and go, oh, there must be. I'm just looking for the magic formula, and I was talking to somebody about AI, and they went and we were discussing sort of AI in the business and how to automate something, and they went and is that when the magic happens? And I went, no, there's no magic. I'm sorry, there is no magic. There is hard work, and there is this sort of somehow there was this belief that somehow if I just push that button, everything just happens, doesn't it? It just all becomes nice and easy, and that's just not the way the world works, does it?
Right. Yeah, I call it the easy button. There's no easy button, right? Big red button where you just push it and everything happens beautifully and miraculously. Wouldn't that be nice? And if there was, everybody would be doing it, and we'd be looking for something else, wouldn't we?
Terrific. That's a great message, and that's a great way to segue into my next question to you, Helle. There must have been something, a book, and we talked a little bit about at the beginning when I gave the introduction about sort of your journey from vastly different industries. Was there a point in your life, a book or a program or something which brought you to this understanding? How did you get to where you are now?
Right. Well, I mean, it wasn't a book. Like, I do have a favorite book, or a book that's been very significant in terms of my beliefs and my growth.
Please tell us.
And I'll, give me a second. So my process to get from one industry to another was that I recognized that my clients in the other industry were not always making what I would say rational decisions.
Mm-hmm.
They were making decisions out of fear and scarcity. And I had great solutions to offer them. And they agreed until it came down to the bottom line. And so and I'm sure you've come across those people as well. And so as I dove into that, I came to understand that they were living in stress, overwhelm, fear, anxiety. They may not have shown it on the outside. And that's where their decisions were coming from. So in my other business, my goal was to create a better world, and that was primarily environmentally. And I realized that if I wanted to create a better world through that industry, the best thing I could do was help the people in that industry. So it's kind of a roundabout way for how I got to where I am. And I promised you that I would tell you about a book that's been particularly significant for me. It's called Unstoppable Self-Confidence by Andrew Leadham. And so the most valuable lesson in that, or the most valuable lesson that I've taken from that is something wrong with you. As an entrepreneur, when we don't succeed, when something goes wrong, you start thinking, what's wrong with me? Why can't I do this? Why can't I figure it out? A valuable resource that says, really, there's nothing wrong with you. And what he does is he helps us to think the way the 1% do, the 1% who achieve their goals, who have success, who live life on their terms. And it all comes down to, there's nothing wrong with you. And so it's a beautiful resource it's a great book. It's fascinating. And it certainly opened my eyes in many areas.
Well, it's not one I've come across. I'm glad you've introduced it to me. I should be checking it out because I think that is a hugely valuable step forward for all of us. But let me get to the question that I've got for you here, which is, I'm sure you've been thinking for all this time, you've been talking away and thinking, well, the question he should be asking me is so critical. When is he going to get to that one? Well, I'm going to give you the opportunity of telling me what the question is. And then obviously, when you've posed the question, well, you're going to have to answer it because I really don't know what the question is. So therefore, Helle, what's the question I should have asked you in these last few minutes that you really think I should have asked?
So the question is, why do I think it's so important for entrepreneurs to thrive? Because I work with entrepreneurs. So why is it so important for entrepreneurs to thrive? And so I truly believe that entrepreneurs hold the key to our future. They're a huge part of our economy. They're the movers and shakers of the world, right? They're nimble, they're resourceful, they're creative, and they're great to adjusting. They're resilient. They're adjusting to what you've called the new normal, right? Big corporations can't adjust. They're not as nimble. They're not as creative. They're not as passionate, right?
Yeah.
And so I believe that when entrepreneurs thrive, they create a better world.
Wow. What a
so that's why I want to work with entrepreneurs.
Helle, that is just such a fantastic, just such a fantastic. I'm going to say no more because I think you have ended that and given us something to think about during the rest of today and tomorrow. If you're an entrepreneur, you hold the key to the future. So I want to reach out to you and say, you probably need to go on to, within 24 hours, we will have Helle's resource at this link, and I would get onto it. I would start looking at those 10 steps immediately because I think you need to be able to get in and tap into some of this wisdom. But before you do that, you need to go to this link, which is www.systemize.me/subscribe. that puts you on the newsletter list. You know that you get an email from me just once a week that actually tells you about who's coming up on this podcast recording each week. And you have the opportunity to get on, listen to it live, and if necessary, dive in and ask questions of great experts such as Helle, and really understand how to make your business move that one step forward that you need to make it move each day. But remember to get on and have a look at the stuff that Helle will have to help you to do that. Helle, I want to thank you for taking a few minutes out of your valuable time and giving us your wisdom for us to take away and think about and to really sort of dwell on. And I appreciate the fact that you've given us that very valuable free advice today. So thank you very much for doing that.
My pleasure. It's been an honor to be here with you today.
Brilliant. Thank you, Helle. I really appreciate it. I really